Rawr, I'm a dragon.
Reaperman here with my first and maybe only tabletop and board gaming video. This video is all about a little project I did on this giant pawn over here. Because maybe, I don't know, I had a little bit too much time on my hands. This won't be a complete step-by-step on how to make it, but it will go over what I did and hopefully inspire some folks. But first, a bit of background. Now, there are several different ways to represent characters in maybe tabletop or wargaming or like microgame scenarios. First, you got your paper pawns here of varying different qualities, and then you got kind of your overpriced blind bag purchase pawns over here. And then, of course, you've got your vintage pewter ones, but let's be honest, the good silverware is just in case the queen happens to come over. Anyway, what I've started to kind of like are these little board game pawns over here. Now, they come in a variety of different shapes and colors, and they're dirt cheap. They're available at whatever thrift stores charge for incomplete board games these days. But there is a little bit of a problem. The biggest pawn I used to have were these little cranium pawns here. But as you know, for every dungeon, there needs to be a dragon, and this guy is no dragon. And that's where Sorry Card Revenge comes in, because some of the older versions came with this guy. And what this is this is kind of a storage lid / talking game master that runs people through the game. The pawn by itself is available for about 15 bucks on, you know, kind of high eBay pricing, but it's usually whatever the thrift store charges for it. The big problem is that, like everything else that's Sorry branded, it is extraordinarily annoying. But how annoying? About this annoying.
Never heard a red pawn talk before? Come on, take me home!
Yeah, that's pretty bad. But Reaperman, I hear you ask, why not just pull the batteries out, or just flip it to the off position, because I see it's got that power switch on it. And well, I guess you're smarter than me, but whichever idiots designed this thing decided to paint it transparent, so it was always going to bother me that I could see the stuff in there, and the stuff wasn't going to be doing anything. Okay, and a quick cut later, and we're ready for the tour of these things. Over here on this side, we've got the stock one. Over here on this side, we've got the modified one. Now, starting over here at this one, down at the bottom, we've got the speaker. It's just downward firing, and it's got a fairly nice housing. And on top of the housing is a central button. That's what this thing right here actuates.
Say, I'd look mighty good in that shopping cart.
Yeah, you sure would. Anyway, over here, we've got the power switch, and this is connecting the batteries up to the positive on here, and below we've got the batteries. Here's the main board. All the action happens underneath on the main board, but it's just a glob top, so there's nothing to see down there at all. Interestingly, they do have these little sections here. They're two square sections, and it looks like they were going to at one point attach some weights down there, but I'm going to go ahead and guess that was before they decided to paint this thing transparent, because it would have been really obvious what they were trying to do, but they've just left the molding there. Moving over to mine, I've actually opted to keep the speaker, so I bought this little voice recorder board. It came with this speaker right here, but this speaker is a little quiet and it doesn't really fit in there very well, but this one sure does. I wired up the central button to one of the two playback buttons. It's actually got 3 buttons down here. One of the buttons will play back the sample while the button's being held down. The other will play the whole sample. As soon as you tap the button, you can release it. The third button over here is the record, and I've actually extended that out to this separate button on the bottom. Another thing that I've done is I've extended the microphone out. Well, I've purchased a whole new microphone because my desoldering skills are garbage apparently, but it used to be sitting right here, and I've just extended it out and down there. And what I've done is I've reamed out one of the holes that was going to be used to secure the premium weights. The power switch over here functions in both power on and demo modes now. And all it does is it just connects to the positive. Again, this is not rocket surgery. There's no hardware hacking in here. This is a thing that's designed to take a switch, a battery, a speaker, and like 2 buttons and do everything it needs to do. And here we happen to have a case with all that stuff. Anyway, for the switch, I've opted to go with one of these. I was going to use like one of these arcade switches I have tons of, but I just couldn't think of a good way to mount it in there. So I ended up purchasing this switch right here and mounting it in completely the wrong way. So the gist of how it works is, with the power on as it is, you can just kind of hit this button here and go Sorry. And then you flip it down and you hit the button.
Sorry.
Done. And that's pretty much all there is to this one. So closing up, I'd like to thank everybody for putting up with a non-video game related video. I actually have quite a lot of other hobbies, most of which are toy and game related, that I'd like to share in future videos, kind of one-offs. Also, if you're into D&D, let me know down in the comments what, if anything, you use for pawns. I always thought maybe Lego figurines would be a pretty good choice just because of all of the different generations of equipment they can be outfitted with. Also, if you came for a video game related video, there will be one out next time. And for this one, I guess...
Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Annie.